gonna be a little something more. I've got a plan in mind, a special thing in store. The light bulb inside my head says, get out and play, 'cause you never feel this way. It's my lucky day, it's my lucky day. It's my lucky day, my lucky day. Don't need a pot of gold, a rabbit's foot or to be told. It's my lucky day, it's my lucky day.
Hello, my friends. Happy Tuesday. I am so excited to be back with you again this week. I took a bit of a hiatus last week because I was away at a conference and I could not wait to get back to pop on here to say hello to all of you and to welcome my guests. So I'm so excited to get my friend Mike on here with me. Mike D'Angelo is the founder and CEO of Results Lab. And just so we're clear, CEO is short for Chief Equanimity Optimizer. Did I say that right? Equanimity?
100%. Yeah. So I'm
Okay.
not that hoity-toity CEO kind of guy. I feel like it's a lucky day to be here with you.
Yeah, I love it. And if you don't mind, Mike, I'm going to pause your bio for just a minute, and I would love to hear, what is the luckiest, best thing that happened to you today?
Oh, luckiest best thing that happened to me today? I got to get outside and go for a little bit of a walk. It was an unusually 78 degrees here in Philadelphia. And yes, everyone tuning in, it's always sunny in Philadelphia, even during a total solar eclipse and whatnot. But that's yesterday's news, today's news, and it was just dynamite out there.
Yeah, it was so lovely here. We were not quite as warm as you, but I got time in my hammock this afternoon. But I wanted to share, this is the news that I got today that made me so excited. So last week I was at a conference presenting for my 9 to 5 at a national conference. And I got the evaluations today. And my favorite comment was, my colleague and I referred to Ms. Stern as the Leslie Knope of libraries because it's obvious that she has a passion for libraries and the work that we do. And I thought that was so great. I don't know if you're a Parks and Rec fan.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Totally fine. Well, for those of you watching who are Parks and Rec fans, you will understand this is like the greatest compliment. And when I look through evaluations, I like pick on the one thing that, is the criticism or could have been done better. And this time I was so proud of myself for finding the good and celebrating the good and letting, the one grouchy comment go. So cheers to both of us.
And to you, that's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
And then
All right.
how's your noggin?
Oh, totally fine. Yeah, for those of you who did not hear, I had an incident with a falling water bottle on an airplane. So those of you who are flying, please follow the flight attendant's instructions and put small bags, including backpacks with water bottles, under the seat in front of you, unless you are in the very first row. The heads of tender-headed aisle seat choosers.
I was worried about you. I was truly concerned because I didn't see you on LinkedIn. And then I'm like, oh, this is highly unusual. And I was looking for your post and looking for your post. I'm like, oh, you're traveling. And then kabong.
Yeah, no, I was fine. I was more stunned than anything else, though I did have a bit of a goose egg for a day or so, and I was tender for several days. It probably was bruised. You couldn't see it because it was under my hair. Yeah, it was the kind of thing I was just so stunned that it had happened. Yes, so I live to tell the tale. Thank you for your concern, my friend. So I want to talk about you. Because you do some really cool things, and I skimped on your bio, so I'm going to go back to it. And I'm going to tell everyone listening, you should know that Mike believes everyone deserves great results. And yes, that includes you. What kind of results? Your results, because it's all about you, your performance, your well-being, your relationships. When you work with Mike, you get 30 years, 30 plus years of thinking distilled into a simple, proven framework to help busy people like you get great results faster. It's not a speed, it's a framework, a way of thinking, being, and doing. Mike has sold enterprise software since 2000 as an individual contributor and a sales leader. He's worked in big tech companies, a few startups along the way, and then the last 10 years in the SaaS space. Mike loves emojis, three-letter acronyms, alliteration, abbreviation, and frameworks. I love that. That was my favorite part. Like, it's all great. Everything you do is great, but like, I love when people include something in their bio that really gives us a sense of who folks are.
I'm
So,
a big fan of emojis. I just love them.
and which is your favorite emoji if you had to choose?
I think the new one, my newest one is the shaking one.
Mm,
Have you seen it? You just
no, I
type in
don't think
shake and
so.
it's like they shake like that.
Oh, that's hilarious. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to look for it. So, all right, let's talk about you. Where does your story start?
Small town in central Pennsylvania. But we'll save the way back story. Let's see. I think we'll go 30 years in the making here. Um, so it's been a journey. I've always been a coach, and I didn't realize it. I've always instructed from the day I taught my first swimming lesson. Um, and here's a little fun fact. I don't know if we've ever connected on this. I have a degree in exercise physiology. So it
Hmm.
sounds super fancy pants and whatnot, but yeah, I went to school for exercise physiology, which is really all about teaching and coaching people how to be healthy. And I actually was doing phase one, cardiac rehab. Um, and while I was doing that, I decided to go back to school for nursing because I wanted to open up my own cardiac rehab facility. And so this theme of wanting to help people has been woven throughout my career. Um, Somewhere along the way, I got out of healthcare and got into electronic medical records. Pre.com, it busted. It was like just so early. And then I got into high tech sales. And then you had mentioned a couple of these startups along the way. Well, apparently I got out of tech at the wrong time, and I've been told I've lost my way. But positively said, so if we reframe this, because everything's perspective, I just took another path. And that path led me to where I am today. So I was still helping and making a lot more money, right? So for me, I got into it for the wrong reasons. I was all about the money. I was promoted to leadership where I jumped back into coaching. I got sucked back into the selling grind. And again, these few startups along the way, I had an absolute blast, but I got too far away from my passion. And so for the past 10 years, I've actually been selling something called sales enablement software, but it's really helping sellers be the best version of themselves out there helping customers. And when I look at it, that whole journey to sales enablement really got me back closer to helping and coaching others. And I was hired to lead and coach a team at my last gig. I absolutely loved it. It was magical. We had an amazing team. There was some economic changes some of you may have experienced. And the company changed, and I went back to a seller again. And then, so here I am. I started Results Lab. So what I'm doing is getting back to the heart of coaching and to my passion.
I love a good meandering career
We meandered.
story. I love it because my career journey has not been a straight trajectory either. I started in public relations and communications. Then I took some time off to raise my family. Then I went back to school and got a library degree, worked as a school librarian for a while. I work now for a nonprofit that serves libraries here in the state through procurement. Um, and then I've got my own gig, my journaling gig that I do. So all of them, just like yours, all have a common thread. So do mine. And it's always impresses me how we end up exactly where we need to end up when we need to end up there. And I want to take a minute and say hi to Mary, who's tuning in. Mary, we're so glad that you're here with us. And if you are tuning in, please drop us a comment. Let us know you're here so we can say hello to you as well. All right, so um, let's talk about this idea of saboteurs. I
Oh,
really was super interested when we were chatting a few weeks ago, and you mentioned this. Can you talk about saboteurs and what they are, and who has them, and?
yes, and yes. And here's a dirty little secret. Everybody has these saboteurs. Hmm. Yep. And here's the deal. It's not your fault. And we learned it at a very early age. And it's a coping mechanism that we learned. So then we naturally say, it's our parents' fault. And the answer is no, it's not your parents' fault either. It's just part of psychology and the way that we create these defensive mechanisms. So there's one key saboteur that everybody has, and everyone could probably relate to this. It's the judge.
Mm.
The judge saboteur really gets in our way. How? We tend to be very high judges of ourselves. You know that little negative chatter that's in there? Those chattering monkeys. I can't, I'm not good enough, all that other jazz. That self doubt. Now, not only do we judge ourselves, we judge others. Comparison, right? We judge others, or they're not good enough, or they're better than I am, or all of that other negative self talk. And then we judge circumstances. Oh, they're better off because. And so that is the primary saboteur that everyone has. And then to make matters worse, that judge, he's got a couple accomplice saboteurs.
How many saboteurs are there?
9 accomplices plus the judge. There's 10 things working against you. 10.
Oh, great. is,
Now, here's
is
the
that the
thing.
good news?
Yeah, that's the great news, right? You have them. I have them. Everyone that you interact with has them. And the sooner that we can identify the saboteurs, recognize them, and not judge them, but be more discerning, like, oh, here comes that saboteur. I need to be on lookout for them. I'll tell you what mine are in just a minute. But as soon as we can actually intercept them, it allows us to get to a more sage state, like recognize and don't have them hijack our thoughts. So I think on LinkedIn, we were talking a lot about perspective and how different life events change our perspective.
Yeah.
And we could go down a path of divorce, or how I've reframed it, happily unmarried, and talk about the saboteurs that were in our way there. So we could take this conversation anywhere you want to go. But there are a total of 9 saboteurs. And for all
Okay.
of our friends, yep, go ahead.
Nope. I think you're probably going to answer my question. Go ahead.
Ooh, no, probably not. I'm not really good at mind reading. I'm going to yield.
No, I was hoping you would name them.
Ah, you want me to name them all?
Um, well, some.
Yeah, totally. Hi, I'm Mike. I'm a controller. I'm not a controller. I have a controlling saboteur. And it makes a ton of sense. And the way I'm going to justify it is I'm in sales. And the only way sales gets done is if I take control of the situation. And I've got another saboteur, and that's a high achiever. Of course, it makes sense. I'm in sales. I want to succeed. And I've got one other saboteur that is killer. Yes, my kids. I'm a stickler. I'm a stickler for details. And if it's got to be, it's up to me. And no one's going to do it as good as me. So, hi, I'm Mike. I have a controller saboteur. I'm a hyperachiever. And I also have a stickler. Now, there's others out there. There are people pleasers. There's hyper rationals. There's avoiders. Probably know some of them. The thing is, and what I was going to offer up to the audience is there is an assessment that you can take, and it's out there. It's on positiveintelligence.com. It's assessments. If you didn't get that link, you can drop me a note either in the comments or on LinkedIn, and I can shoot over the link to you. And then here's my offer. Take the assessment. It takes about, 10 minutes. There's about 50 questions, and it will give you a readout of what your saboteurs are. And then I will review them with you. So if you want, we'll unpack that together and we'll talk about how it impacts your performance, your well-being, right? And your relationships.
That is first and foremost a super generous offer, Mike. So I put it here on the screen, positiveintelligence.com. I think I've taken this once. I don't remember what my results were, but just from hearing you talk, I've got that high achiever. I've got that controller. Um, People pleaser. I also have. Can you explain the difference between the controller and the stickler?
Sure. What would you like to know about me?
Well, well, I'm just curious how they're different.
Yeah. So the controller, and I have a one pager out on LinkedIn. If you want to grab the one pager, you can. It's just a little right at the top under profile section. You can grab a one pager on. But real short, the controller has an impact on performance, wellness, and relationships. So the way the controller looks at things is over controlling people, over controlling things that you can't control. Um, I would tend to hijack conversations. I would take more control, and um, that really didn't empower the team or myself. So the controller takes over. So think command and control. And it's
Okay.
really based off of fear, right? Fear of losing control is where the controller jumps in. So, like I said, on that controller, it feels like it's all up to me. It won't work out if I'm not, taking command and control here. So that's the controller. And then you wanted to know about
The stickler.
the stickler. Let's talk stickler. I'm going to pull up some deets on stickler here.
Yeah.
So here, the stickler gets lost in the weeds, lose sight of the big picture because we're nitpicking everything, right? You got to do it right. My kids will tell me that I was a big stickler, and I would justify it. I'd say, hey, this is all for your benefit. Constant anxiety is what I was facing because things just weren't perfect. So it was all about order. It was about things needed to be in their place, but it was like an over obsession of it. Um, I was trying to make things 100% perfect all the time, rather than like, hey, 80% is good enough. Did that help?
It definitely did. So I'm thinking about different ways those have played out in my life and in my relationships. And what really struck me is when you said that controller is all about fear. And the fear of losing control is when the controller really comes out and takes charge. Um, and I can just think of so many times when that's happened for me. And it's so easy to justify, right? I have control in this situation. Nobody else knows how to do it like me. Nobody, and maybe this is where the controller and the stickler play really nicely together. Maybe it's a game of double dutch. Um, yeah, I see lots of, as I'm thinking back, lots of times when my controller and my stickler got in the way of relationships or got in the way of me showing up as my best in relationships.
Yes, and me too,
Yeah.
and others too. And if we think about all of the saboteurs, all of them are based off of fear. So even the avoider is fearing something, which is why they're avoiding it. The hyper rational is so rational, so logical, like it, in fact, they're doing it out of fear. So all of the saboteurs are fear based. We're going to use the F word here.
Yeah. So you said way back at the beginning of this part of the conversation, we all have them. We develop them as a defense mechanism.
Mhm.
Can you talk more about that? How young we are when we develop them and what makes us develop them?
Age 5, 6. So it's I will say I'm not the authority on it, right? But there's an awesome book, positiveintelligence.com. You can take a look at Shirzad's book, read into everything around the saboteurs and things like that. But the defense mechanism is it's a protective mechanism. So whether we weren't loved enough, or we didn't feel we were good enough, or we were compared, or we were picked on or bullied or what have you, these were defense mechanisms on there. Or the people pleaser, right? I'm here to please mom and dad because I was trying to get more love and affection and attention. Now, for as bad as these saboteurs are, there are some strengths in it. And so those strengths are what we want to actually maximize, and we want to minimize the negative impact. So if you think about the whole thing shifting to positive intelligence, what we're really trying to do is tamper down the negative self-talk and not judge ourselves, not judge the circumstance, not judge others, but shift into, they call it a sage mindset. And that's one of being very curious. So I call it a curious explorer. So as this curious explorer, you're now coming back and saying, I'm not judging the situation. It's with great discernment that I'm a fascinated anthropologist. What is causing that person on the other side to think, feel, behave that way?
I love that you use the C word. That is one of my absolute favorite words, curious.
Mhm.
And it really opens the door to all kinds of possibilities.
It does. And because it leads into that next one, which is really about empathy, right? Empathizing for the person on the other side of what's going on. What is going on in their world? What is going on in their mind, their world around them, to have those actions and behaviors? And so when we really look at it, we start to get really curious and explore. We empathize with them. We empathize with ourselves. And then we start to say, at the end of my life, would this really matter? Would this particular situation that we're so upset about? And maybe the answer is yes. Maybe the answer is no. Maybe the answer is maybe. And that's what we explore, is what is the gift and opportunity of the event happening in front of us, unfolding in front of us? How can we take something negative and turn it into a gift and opportunity? And that is all about perspective. So as we've been journaling and talking about how we handle changes in relationships, it's a great way to look at it, because at the point in time, it was like, holy cow, everything, my world has come apart, right? The wheels have come off the bus, right? Who got the friends? Who gets the china? Who gets the this and the that and the house and the kids and the, right? But what is the gift and opportunity in that?
Yeah, the gift and opportunity for me was that I got to reevaluate my life and get to decide who I was going to be from this point
Mhm.
forward. I built the most beautiful relationship with my children. I had good relationships with them before, but I just built these beautiful, deep relationships where they know that I am their safe person. And it is the coolest, best thing to have kids who choose to spend time with me. I love my mother. As a teenager, I hung out with my mom sometimes, but I didn't choose my mother if there was anyone else to choose. And I have children who choose me, which is the coolest. And I really don't know that that would have happened had I not gotten divorced. Um, what happened for me, a gift and opportunity, was um, I got to make orange juice out of lemonade, is how a friend of mine put it. He said to me after my divorce, he's like, I don't know how you do it. It's like, it's like the universe handed you lemons and you said, I don't want lemonade. I want orange juice. So somehow that's what you made. And learning that if I can turn this experience into something really um, useful and good and beautiful, then I can do that with everything else. It has been amazing.
And that is the gift and opportunity, because you actually learned an entire perspective and skill set, and has just changed, right? So you went back to the tools that you knew, that you trusted in journaling. And journaling what I love about it is it's a great way to reflect before a coaching session or after a coaching session, in between the coaching session. And I look at, shoot, do you need a coach? Maybe, right? You can DIY a lot of it as long as you have accountability,
Yeah.
right? You get focused on the positive, right? What do we want to take away from it? So everyone on this call, everyone listening to this replay, know that you can actually do this yourself. You have to take a look at every situation as a gift and an opportunity, become that curious explorer, and really unpack what is happening for you, not to you. For you, not to you.
I love that you said that. So, yesterday, in addition to being the eclipse, we also had a new moon. And I've got a ritual where each new moon I set an intention. And my intention this month is I choose to believe that life happens for me and not to me. And it it's so amazing the difference it makes when I can remember that, even with the small things. So, last night I did not sleep very well for the second night in a row. Turns turns out, every time I travel, I sleep so well because I'm sleeping in a bed by myself, and then I come home and I love my husband, and also I sleep better when I am in a bed by myself. So about 4 o'clock this morning, I got up and went to the couch and snuggled up for the rest of the night and woke up crabby and just disoriented because I had couch sleep, which isn't as good as bed sleep. And I pulled open my journal because that's what I do in the morning. And my question to myself was, how is this um, life happening for me, not to me, right? And being able to identify the really good things that came out of it. Like, I was up on time this morning. I did not lollygag in bed. I was not late anywhere. But also, it was a really beautiful reminder to me to take care of myself in different ways, that it's going to be getting to bed earlier tonight to compensate.
I know when
It's
we looked at this thing at 8 o'clock, I'm like, gosh, it's pushing up against my bedtime.
Yeah, I should start doing these things in my pajamas. That's what I should start telling people. Though now that it's getting to be summertime, it's harder to justify putting my pajamas on when it's not dark. Um,
Agreed.
but yeah, so just
I'm sorry,
being
I took
able,
you off task there. I want to pull out the little gem that you said there. Then the gem, right? So I love acronyms. This is a 4 letter one. But G is gratitude, right? You woke up, grabbed your journal, and said, what am I grateful for? What can I learn from this? What is it teaching me? Right. And then the E in gem, any guess for that one?
um,
I know I'm putting
en-
you on the spot. It's so crazy, right?
enthusiasm,
I love it.
energy, nope, I got nothing.
I like those. Those are all great, right? And you could even throw in equanimity because that's my newest one. But no, it stands for eating, right? So my
Oh,
gems are gratitude every day. Be grateful. Eat well, right? Eat whole foods. Eat well. M. Any you want to
oh,
take a step?
movement. That's got to be movement.
Right? Exercise physiologists, right? We got to talk about movement, right? Get that movement in because when the body moves, the brain grooves, right? And we just feel better. All right, and the S doesn't stand for sofa, but it's
Oh
pretty
no,
darn.
that's got to be sleep.
It's got to be sleep.
Yeah,
Those are the gems, right? So gratitude. I think everything that we do should be great, grounded in gratitude,
yeah,
right? Eat well, move well, sleep well. And you'll
yeah.
have a wonderful
Ooh.
life.
And that is such an amazing framework that we all can do.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need a coach for that. Just
Yeah.
everyone knows what
And
to do.
I love what you said, Mike, about um maybe you need a coach, maybe you don't. A lot of this we can do on our own.
Mhm.
And I think if it's the same thing for therapy, there are times when we absolutely need to go to a professional, but there's a whole lot of things we can do ourselves. And I think of this often. I have a really amazing therapist who is out of network. And so if I don't have to go see her, I choose not to go see her. But I absolutely. Um, can channel her in my head because I've seen her long enough. And when I sit down with my journal, worked up about something, I just think, what would she what would she ask me? And then I ask myself those same questions. And I love how you said accountability is what we all need. Learning to use my journal as an accountability partner has
Totally.
been an incredible, incredible tool for me.
You
Um,
have amazing discipline. You
Thank
have
you.
amazing discipline. I mean, because you have that discipline, you're able to use it as an accountability partner. And Mary had a question. Do you
Yeah,
journal
yeah.
on your sleep?
Um, I don't necessarily journal on my sleep, but I wear a fitness tracker to bed,
Which one do you
mostly
wear?
a a fitness tracker?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But I wear it I got it in the first place because I just wanted to see my sleep statistics. Really the first thing I do every morning is pull it open on the app so I can see how I slept. And it's funny because the days when I wake up and I'm like, "Oh, I feel really good." My sleep statistics really reflect that. I got enough of each phase of sleep in addition to enough sleep. Whereas days with like this morning when I woke up and I'm like, ugh, like I'm not ready for morning, I look and I'm like, oh, I had 42 minutes of REM sleep. That's not enough. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, so I
Mhm.
don't journal on it per se, um, but I do take note of it. And then she also says, Mike, I don't know if you saw this, that she likes the gems idea. Yeah, it's a great one.
Thank you,
It's
thank
really
you.
good.
I probably heard it somewhere and just repurposed it. I think it was like EMS. I started with that, right? Like avoid emergency medical services by eating, moving, and sleeping well, right? And then I
Ooh,
slapped a little G on the front. I made gems. I'm like, I don't know.
I love it. Well, it's amazing how much easier things are to remember when we can acronym them.
Absolutely. And that's what
Yeah.
great's another one, right? I believe everyone deserves great results, and great results come from the G is repetitive. I do apologize. It's for gratitude, right? Great results come from being grateful for what you have,
Yeah.
for what you accomplished, or maybe what you didn't accomplish, what you failed, but what you've learned,
Yeah.
right? So for me, it's all about being grateful for that opportunity to actually do something, learn. Great results come from the R, and R is for relationships. And we need to be grateful for the relationships we have. And that first relationship that we need to have is with ourselves, right? We need to be grateful for ourselves. We need to be great to ourselves, right? We need to take care of ourselves. And I think you've said it before, right? Can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the R is relationships. But I also want to dial into relationships not only with yourself, but with others. And then it's relationships with things, possessions, your garden,
Yeah.
today, money, right? All of these things are results that we're looking for, relationships to improve our relationships with ourselves, with others, with things, possessions, money, status, jobs, roles, all of those things. And then is it EAT? Is that the rest of
Yep.
great? Okay. See, I always flip it backwards because I'm all about the T. I'm all about the T, and T is time, attention, and energy. So everything that you
Oh,
do is what kind of time are you committing to it? What kind of attention are you committing to it? What kind of energy are you committing to it? You know, if you do anything halfway, half-hearted, half-headed, well, this is a public show, we won't use that, right? You're going to get those types of results. So always reflect on great results come from where you're focusing your time, your energy, your attention on the relationships, your gratitude. You'll have a wonderful life, a great life.
yeah. And I love that, Mike, because we can't give our full attention and our full energy to everything. So we need to be really selective on what gets the best of us and being really clear on which relationships get the best of us and um which things and people and all of those things. I love how you said relationship with our people, with ourselves, and with things. Sometimes we don't think about our relationship with things. And I don't necessarily mean like things, but the bigger things that matter.
Bigger things that matter. And it can even be the things, right?
Yeah.
The things that we got because we got married and it was a gift and we had it and then we kept it because then that was the thing. Like you got that thing and I got that thing and we have these things and it's like I don't. But if that thing's no longer serving you, it's taking your attention, it's
Yeah.
taking your energy away. Release it, get rid of it,
Yeah.
right?
Can you say that again for my mom, who I will have listen on the replay?
Which part specifically? Like if it's no
Do
longer
we need
serving,
to keep everything that we are ever given?
heck no. Heck no. Be
So I
generous and release it. Give it to someone
yeah.
else. Someone
So
else that
I
needs
heard the most beautiful thing not long ago, which is something to the effect of when we are given a gift or when we give a gift, and the other person receives it, our it stops for us, right? Like our responsibility in that gift is done,
it. Mhm.
and we don't have any say, should not feel like we have any say over what the recipient of that gift does with it, because we all know what it feels like to receive a very good gift of whatever kind, whether it's a physical gift or a intangible, right? That's something that's exactly what we need, exactly what we want, and we totally treasure it. And we all know what it's like to receive a gift that we're like, "Oh, this is a gift," right? And it's something that doesn't fit, doesn't work with our house, it doesn't fit with our decor. It just is not something we need, right? And how many of us are carrying things around from home to home, or, we look at them and we just don't even realize the energy we're expending
Yeah.
looking at this thing, thinking about the obligation that comes with this thing, having to take care of the thing. And when we realize we're free to be grateful for the gift and let it go,
Mhm.
um, just how much space it frees up. And the same with circumstances, the same with relationships that no longer serve us, the
Mm.
same with, all of those intangible things that just once maybe served us, but no longer do.
Let's talk about that. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that. I believe that relationships there's reasons for them. People come into your life for certain reasons. There are certainly, people who are there for a season, and it doesn't mean just, winter, spring, summer, fall, but season of life. And then there's lifers, right? Like you got them, and they're good people, right? I heard something interesting on a podcast. I think it was the Minimalist reframed, um, called it graduation, and they
Hmm.
used the term graduate, and they actually put it in context of divorce and death, right? Like graduate, divorce, and death. And when you look at it, it's divorce is one of those things that is like it's kind of like it's really bad connotation to it, right? Because
Mhm.
it's like, and the reason is because you're like stuck in a relationship for probably a little too long, right? Maybe it was that relationship that you knew from the get go, or you had that feeling, right? But we're like, we can't get divorced, right? We can't change that relationship because that's what the status quo is. That's what we're supposed to do. We were all supposed to go off to college. We were all supposed to fall in love. We were all supposed to get this job. We were all supposed to have this house, and we were all supposed to. And at some point, right, it's like, whose life are we living? And that's the part where it's when you get back to what are you grateful for? What are the relationships with yourself, with people that matter to you, and with things around you? Where are you going to apply your time, attention, and energy? That's where results happen. And that's where these saboteurs slow us down because it's like all the I could, I should, I must, right?
Well,
But yeah, go ahead.
yeah. I was just thinking right before you said that great acronym, right? That is how we maybe I don't know if the phrase is keep the saboteurs at bay, or, that's how we take care of them. Um, because as you were talking about all of those status quo feelings about divorce, right? Like I in in came for me all of my judgy, my my judge of, oh, this is what I've chosen. Oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. Oh, I can't get divorced or I'm a failure.
Oh,
I
see, there it is. It's that fear of
oh
failing, right?
yeah, it's so and that one's like really mean. Like, and then with it, like all those other things of being not good enough. Like, if this marriage didn't work, would I ever get married again? Who would ever want
I
me
said,
again?
I shout from the rooftops, "Been there, done that, got the T-shirt, the hat, I'm good.
Yeah,
No more. No mas. Tapping out." And I'm happily married.
yeah.
We have
And
a beautiful blended family, and we've got 6 kids, and it's amazing, and even the exes, for the most part, everyone kinda gets along because it's, it's for the better. It's for
yeah.
the better.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And what I loved for me and my journey was the journey I got to take from day one of our separation to now, because I'm still on it, is every day becoming a little bit closer to that version of myself I want to be. The some days I totally nail it. And when I have compassion on myself, when I give myself empathy and grace,
Mhm,
then it moves me further faster. But
mhm.
when I get stuck in judging mode, when I let that saboteur creep up, I always say when I compare myself to others, no matter how I stack up, I always, always lose.
Always. Right? That comparison's the worst thing, right? And we should only compare ourselves to ourselves, right? That's the only level playing field out there. I like the way that you wove faster in there, and we're gonna come back to that in just a minute. Thank you for that. Um, but your journey, the fact that you're journaling about it and you're journaling about it, but you're also putting it online and you're talking about the process because we slip sometimes back into that negative thinking about it. Like, why me? What could I have done differently? What aspect? And that's when you catch yourself thinking like that. And so there's a simple trick. There's a simple trick when you catch yourself being hijacked. It's something that everyone on this call can do, everyone that's listening to the replay. And you can just do a couple things. You don't have to do them all, but you can simply take your index finger and your thumb and press them together with such a tension that you can actually feel the ridges of your fingers together. And just do that for a few minutes. Now, when you do that and do that well, that's the only thing you feel. If you feel something else, and you can close your eyes if you want to do that. And we're not dropping in an ohm, and I'm not making fun of it, right? But we can totally do this at any point in time. You can also do some breathing exercises. So, big advocate of just putting 3 time blocks on your calendar and do these mini mental breaks, like maybe right before your day starts at, 8:55, and then right before lunch, maybe 11:55, and then maybe another one right at 2:55. And then certainly before you get out of the car, if you're commuting, or before you reintegrate into the house and the family, just take a few minutes to just reset. Now, think about that. If we all took just a few minutes to reset throughout the day, probably could get a collective 15 minutes of meditative experience. But it's one of the best ways to not get hijacked or to stop the hijacking. As soon as you realize it's like a hot handle in a stove. It's like your hand's on the stove, it's hot, and you're like, whoa. Oftentimes we tend to let things burn up here for a long time. That little trick, breathing, eyes closed, just even you're sitting, I'm standing, right? Feel the weight of your seat on your chair. Feel the weight of your feet on the floor. I'm standing, I'm feeling the weight of my feet on my floor. I'm calm, I'm focused, I'm present. Everyone can do it.
I love that. So I always say the more I journal, the more mindful I become. And so these kind of things are easier. I have reminders on my phone at 11 4, not my phone, my tracker, for 11:40, 1:35, 3:05, and 5:14. And those are my reminders to check in with my energy. But I love your idea to really do some breathing or make it a more substantial than, how's my energy? I'm good. Okay, keep going. So I really like that. So that's going to be my takeaway from this conversation. But you wanted to talk about faster.
Well, yeah, I mean, you brought it up. So another acronym, but it stands for F is focused, right? So like the best way to drive results for yourself is get really focused. Now, what does focus mean? Everyone hears it, but what is it? Pick three things that are important, and they could be small things. Because if we can hammer out those three small things, then we can go to the next three things and then the next three things. So F is all about faster, is all about focus, and A is about accountability. So get an accountability buddy. And if it's your journal, awesome. If it's a coach, awesome. If it's your friend, your neighbor, right? Someone else has got this, has similar goals or their own goals. And then you talk about the goals and you help them keep focused and then hold them accountable. S, keep it simple. Like seriously simple. The KISS principle, keep it seriously simple. And that will make it ultimately sustainable for you. T, transparency. Tell people, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. Right? So be transparent with others. Like these are the three things that are top of mind for me. This is what I'm working on right now. You can hold me accountable to it. I can get to the next three things when I'm finished with those. And then the E stands for equanimity. Be calm, be present, relax. The more relaxed, the more calm we are, the easier it is to do things. We call it ease and flow. And so we want to get into the ease and flow. And then the R, well, you guessed it, it's for results. But it's also for repeatable. This whole process is totally repeatable. So great results faster is all about a repeatable framework, a repeatable methodology that anybody could do.
I love how faster seems intuitive to what it all represents, which to me is what I'm hearing is moving slowly. I'm finding that the more, more and more often when I'm feeling anxious, when I'm feeling behind, when I'm feeling flurried, the answer is slow down. And it feels so counterintuitive because,
You've heard me talk about stop, right?
yeah, I it's so I that might be my favorite one, Mike.
Well,
It's
thank you.
faster.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, faster is a framework. It's not a speed. In fact, we talked about taking a turtle pill, right? The biggest thing that I learned through my coaching journey is my coach said to me, she's like, "You need a turtle pill," and I just cracked up. I'm like, "You are so right."
Mhm.
And I said, "I have an acronym for that," and she goes, "I'm sure you do." And that's stop, right? So it's like stop, not like hit the brakes. It's not a hard stop. Right? It's not a fast stop. It's actually stands for slow down, right? The T is for think. O is observe. What's happening around you? What's happening in you? What's happening for you? And process that. The P is process. And then if you want to slap on an extra P, plan your next move. So anytime that you're like, oh, frazzle dazzle, just stop. Slow down, think, observe, proceed. Process and then proceed.
So good. So good. And I love how when you were talking about the F in faster, you talked about the focus, right? What is the most important thing to do today? That is one of my favorite morning journaling questions. I'm putting it here on the screen, right? What is most important for us to focus on? Because everything isn't of equal importance. And when we look at that master to-do list that we know we're never going to finish, if I can sit and think, I will be successful if I get this one most important thing done. Anything else is a bonus. Like it's such a win, right? And then this other question, which is so great. What is the real challenge here for you? Right? What is the challenge in this work situation? What's the challenge in the relationship situation? What's the challenge with how I'm feeling about myself?
Mm-hmm.
What saboteurs are coming to play? Why are they coming out to dance? And how can we meet their needs so that we can meet our needs?
You got it. I mean, that's the essence of it. That's the essence of coaching. It's those two questions. You can ask yourselves that anytime that you want. Recognize that we're oftentimes in a state of our mind being hijacked by negative thoughts. We learned how to intercept them through some touch. You could do some breath work. So anytime that you're feeling out of control, stop, slow down, think, observe, take a few minutes, right? Take a few minutes. And anyone can do this at any point in time. Um, Maybe like right before the live stream goes on and Mike's camera freezes up and he can't get in and he's like, uh-oh, right? I was doing that. I'm like, we got this. No biggie. Everything will be fine.
Yep. And everything was better than fine. So, Mike, I'm pulling up here on the screen resultslab.io. Talk about this for a minute, if you would.
Yeah, so that's the website where you can go and get all the information on the process, the frameworks. I will be adding more frameworks out there. We do have a great mindset mastery course available. So anyone that actually wants to go through the full-blown positive intelligence saboteurs, learn how to intercept that, shift to sage, drive up self-command, we're here to help. Yeah, that's what Results Lab's all about.
I absolutely love, love, love what you're doing, Mike. And I want to throw out for anyone who's listening, journaling. So I think most people know that I run these really beautiful journaling groups, create these really safe, gorgeous spaces. We are having a journaling mini retreat next Wednesday, April 17th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Here is the link. Well, it's on the screen. It's like there and over. Thanks, Mike. If you are interested in coming, we have a seat for you. Would absolutely love to journal with you. Mike, that's for you. It's for anyone listening out there at home. Um,
Can I invite
ooh,
Carl to that journaling session?
Carl, do I know
Yeah.
Carl?
Well, CARL is actually another acronym, which is really
Ooh,
helpful for journaling. C is for circumstance, right? What was the situation, right? When you're journaling, what's the situation that I'm journaling about? A is action, right? What did I do or what could I do? Uh, R is the result. What happened? What are your results that you're looking for? L is learning. What did you learn?
ooh.
So, stars out, Carl's in. Carl's your new journaling friend.
I love it. Yeah, you
I told you
totally
I'd bring
threw me
some
for a loop there. I was thinking back through all of our LinkedIn friends. Do I know a Carl? I know lots of Carls, but which Carl? Like, did I miss a comment in the chat? Something. So,
acronyms.
Mike, thank you so much for coming
Thank
on here with me, for sharing so much of your expertise. I really I love what you're doing. Um, I love how you make everything so simple and so doable, and how you are such a coach. Coach is the only word I have. You make me believe that I can do it. Everything you described tonight. And I
you. Everyone
just
can
love
do it.
that about you.
Everyone can do it.
Yeah, even me.
Everybody. Mary, thank you. Everyone, thank you. Amanda, you're a gracious host. Thank you so much for the invitation. This was amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mike. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And we will be here again next week talking about something cool. So tune in next week. Bye, friends.